during that week. It was very important to us because in the times when we were tired or unsure of ourselves, your prayers came through. So thank you for that. Um, First off, I'd just like to say from what I witnessed throughout the week was what happens when individuals let go of themselves and let the Spirit of God take over. Um, it was an amazing week. Um, every day was a new day, of work, ready to work for God. It was it took a group effort this past week, or this past couple of weeks ago now. Just seems like it was just yesterday. I think a majority of us are still on that high of just being in God's presence for a week. Um, I just wanted to just say thank you for the youth. They did an amazing job this week. There were some that were kind of apprehensive at first, but you saw the Spirit just work through them, and it was just amazing. That we completed a lot of vacation Bible school throughout the week, did several maintenance projects, and saw even some that rededicated their lives to Christ and also knew Christ for the first time. It was just so great. Each day, at the end of the day, we came together as a group and shared a devotional of how we saw God throughout that week. For that day. And each day we were like, oh man, I don't know if the next day can top this day, but I kept building and building and building upon it each day. It was just an amazing experience, and I'm without words right now, but just want to thank you for your prayers and support. Thank you.
Before I went on my trip to Peru, I had a lot of doubts about going. One of these doubts was, as silly as it sounds, going on an airplane, which I've done many times before, but it still freaks me out to this day. Another was the obvious language barrier, which really shouldn't be a problem because I've had 3 years of Spanish, but let's just say my Spanish speaking abilities are still very limited. However, I am very glad that I faced my fears and got the opportunity to go on this trip. My favorite thing, and the thing that I'll mostly be talking about, was holding vacation Bible school for the kids in Lima and Chincha. I already love kids to begin with, so getting the opportunity to play and tell them about the Lord was awesome. Throughout the skits that we performed and the songs that we sang, you could really see Jesus working in these communities. The kids were all just so awesome, and they all had their different personalities. And, with the help of people like Pablo, I was able to talk with them. And really the biggest lesson that I learned through this trip that was taught to me straight from the children was that you really don't need to have material wealth in order to be happy. So this trip was an awesome experience for not only me, but for the other people that came with us. And the biggest part about this trip was that it really helped me to grow through Jesus and become a better person. Thank you.
Hola.
Hola.
All right. What I learned from this trip was that kindness doesn't know language. When we first got to Peru, it was obvious that we weren't home anymore. They had these TVs in the airplane, and the temperature was in Celsius, and the height was in kilometers. And so we're obviously out of our comfort zone right there. Getting off of the plane and onto our bus and driving in the traffic was crazy. They don't have many street signs or traffic signs, and so it was just drivers using their horns. When we got to Casa de Methodist, where we were staying, there were 2 women who they didn't speak English and we didn't speak Spanish, but they greeted us with hugs and a kiss. And so it was obvious that God was there, even though we didn't speak the language, because kindness doesn't know language. The next morning, we went to San Martin Methodist Church, and the pastor was a Korean missionary. And so he was a Korean living among the Peruvians, helping Americans, just to kind of explain how big God's network is. All of us together worshiping in one room was amazing because you could feel God's presence. And then the members of the church made us lunch, and it was probably my favorite meal of the trip. When we left that district of Lima to go to another one where we met the kids, none of us spoke Spanish very well, and they didn't speak English. But we played on you don't need Spanish to play on the seesaw, play soccer, run around with them on your back, or walk with them on your shoulders, or countless other things, because kindness doesn't know language. We relied heavily on Pablo and Fanny and the other translators with us, but for the most part, kindness and Christ spoke through us. So it's winter in Peru, and so the kids were in school in the mornings. So while they were in school, we did house visits around the the neighborhood. And one home stuck out to me in Lima. There was a 21-year-old named Josue, or Josh, and he seemed to be having the same problems that we were all going through. He felt like he was living two different lives, and it was so relatable to everybody in our group. And it was just cool to see that we all have the same story, even though we're miles apart. When we got to Chincha, we visited a house, and we met this woman named Gladys. She was probably in her 50s, and she didn't know how to read or write. When we went into her home and said, God sent us here to this home to talk to you all the way from Texas, I believe she began to realize how important and how loved she was. After talking and praying, she accepted Christ into her heart. And so kindness doesn't know language, and Christ spoke through us to bring home one of his daughters. I learned from Peru that many rewards are won for the kingdom when you get out of your comfort zone and you let the Holy Spirit speak through you when you have no words. God moved mountains through our team and on our team, and we didn't need to speak through language to show people God or loving kindness. So thank you to everybody who supported us and prayed for us.
Awesome testimonies. Thank you. And we're going to